I absolutely love how small the world is and how compost can connect us all. This March, I visited San Francisco and found myself at a party where I knew only one person. I got into a great conversation with an architect named Chabe, who grew up in Chile. After a rich chat about South America, architecture, school, and immigration, we talked about her family. It turned out her brother, Andreas, runs Regenera Organico, a compost operation in Chile. So cool. Of course, everything comes back to compost for me. I couldn't wait to talk to Andreas. Regenera Organico is located in the middle of a densely populated neighborhood, with rugged mountains just outside surrounding the city. Those mountains make it difficult to truck waste away and perfect to have compost operations to handle the organics. Let's dive into this great conversation with owner Andreas Ruiz and operation manager Vincent of Regenera Organico. Welcome to The Composter, a podcast for compost lovers. I'm your host and fellow composter, Jane Murner. Join me in practical conversation between industry professionals and farmers with a passion for producing quality compost. We're going to dig deep into the science, technology, and art of compost production so that we as composters can help enliven the world's soils. This episode of The Composter is brought to you by Viably. As the master distributor of Comtech products in North America, Viably helps their customers to uncover the most forward-thinking solutions in the waste and recycling industry, including the proven 4-step Comtech compost process of shred, turn, screen, and separate, which produces healthy, contaminant-free compost while optimizing commercial production efficiency. Viably is also the distributor of the Turbo Separator food waste depackaging system and the HARP Renewables biodigester. Both of these revolutionary machines can help composters incorporate food scraps into their compost process, creating a more nutritious end product and the opportunity for an enhanced bottom line. You can learn more about Viably and their portfolio of compost solutions at thinkviably.com. While there, request a complimentary consultative meeting to discover how Viably can help your compost operation deliver what is possible. Enjoy the show. Well, welcome to The Composter. I'm so happy to have you both on the show. Can you describe your operation, where you're located, how you got started?
We started in our yard. We live in the rainy city of Chile. We here rains like 1,500 millimeters per year, so it's almost all days in the year raining. And we have to. It's very challenging to know what to do with that amount of water, you know. But we started in our yard with a small composters, like 6 boxes of 1 cubic meter each one. And we started with that in our yard, making some tests. We got advised by a guy in the United States, or Peter Moon is his name. I don't know if you know him.
I do know Peter.
Ah, you do? Nice. Small world. Yeah, Peter helped us a lot with this first stage of the compost plant, and it was, as I say, in our yard. So it's in a very small scale, and then we participate in some public funds contest, you know, with the government to scale up this small model that we have in our yard, and we win in March of 2020 when the pandemic was starting. So it was very good timing.
And so did you end up getting a bigger yard at that point?
Yes, we got more space, a bigger yard, so we can get off the government's allowance. And that's it. And then we start growing part by part, step by step, with other public funds. Very, very slow, but very organic growth in all the process. So it's been very, very beautiful all the history of Regenera.
Yeah, I like the timing of this. So your 2018 is when you started. So it's fairly new, but you've gotten through some of the big hurdles. Those like first 5 years are the most challenging, it sounds like. And a lot of our listeners are, within the first couple years starting up. So I think this could be a great inspiration for a lot of people because you're still in it and you sound still enthused about it and ready to grow more. So what motivated you from the beginning to start composting in Chile?
Well, this city is the touristic capital city of Chile. And it's a very beautiful city, full of volcanoes, lakes, and we love. When we arrived here in 2018, we knew that we wanted to collaborate with the society with something like that. And I worked a few years before that, in 2016, in a recycling company, and I learned a lot of how the business works. And when I arrived here in 2018, I met a guy that knew very good how to make compost. So we make a society and we start doing this, giving the people the option to collect their organic waste in their homes, so we can recollect them in our vehicle and then carrying them to our yard and composting them in these small composter bins. And that's how it started.
Tell me more about the feedstocks, the things you're taking in to make the compost with. So you're collecting people's food scraps, or you're also collecting their yard materials?
Only food scraps. And then we start working with some restaurants, hotels, that are our clients until today. And they support us from the beginning. So it's very nice to see that they are interested parts in all this process.
What are your carbon sources? It looked like there was maybe some straw or bedding or something in some of the photos.
Here, this is a lot of wood companies here in the south of Chile, chipping woods and making and the forestal is the name of forestal companies, big ones that have a lot of acres planted with eucalyptus and Oregon pines. I don't know.
Yeah. So they're doing like wood chips.
Yeah. So that's our carbon supplier. And we mixed it in our homes and in our yard. And in this new compost plant, we have special places to store these wood chips and everything that we need for the process.
Yeah, you need so much wood chip to take in those food scraps.
Yeah.
And I saw the worms. So is it vermicomposting that you're doing? Because I did see the loaders too.
The vermicomposting is just for the people who want to start their vermicompost at home. We sell them the earthworms. That's it. It's like, it's not a business thing. It's just the love for the vermicomposting and the earthworms.
That's great. So the main system that you're using is not vermicomposting. It's like you're using loaders and mixing that way.
Aerated static piles. We use that model.
Okay, aerated static, yeah. And I saw you have a skid steer. That's what we call those, the loader there. What other equipment you have? You mentioned before the show you got a new screener. Tell us about your equipment that you have on site.
Yes, our equipment is this Bobcat loader that you said before. The blowers, 2 blowers for each stage of the composting process. At the first stage, we use like these 2 cubic meters composters bins, like these wooden composter bins, like where you use. They are similar to where the horses are in the farms and those places. We use that system because there are a lot of neighbors very close to us. So we need to keep the odor topic very, very controlled. So in the first stage where the odors are higher, we use that part of the installation to compost for the thermophilic part of the process. And then we have a screener. We have 2 screeners. One that is the round screener that goes in cycles, that move in circles. And the other one that is horizontal, that is the new one that we get today. And the screeners one is for the summer, that when it's easier to screen the compost. And the horizontal one is the one that we use now in winter, because the rains are very, very tough here. It rains with a lot of wind. So you receive the water from above and from all sides. It's really challenging to manage the rains and to figure out how to solve that problem. We have been for years solving that topic. That is a really, really, really tough one.
Yeah, I'm going to share the video that you shared with me in the link to show notes, so people can see these different the equipment, and you'll get to see the round screener. What's the brand name of the new screener you got that's better for the wet material?
No, we made up by ourselves.
Oh, you did? Oh, great.
Yeah. It's a very, artisanal? There's an artisan screener.
Okay, yeah, custom. We call that scrappy. Yeah. That's great. That's great.
That's it. With all the scraps, with a lot of materials, we did it, and it works very, very good. So,
great! If you get a chance, send me a photo of that. I can share that as well in the notes. My compost is also very heavy and wet, and we had been using screeners that were really meant for sand and gravel, for the excavation companies, and it just did not work. It would get, the trommel would get so gummed up with material, and it was to have the screener that works. We have a Comtech screener, and it's meant for compost, and it's so much better for the wetter material. And then I saw you bag. So you're bagging by hand. I saw some of the bags. They look really nice. Is that mostly how you sell? Is the compost by the bag?
No, by the bag. We use a small bag of 20 liters of compost. That is the one with the design, the beautiful one. And there is another bag that is just a transparent bag that is 40 liters of compost. And we try to avoid plastic, but here with Vincent, we discuss a lot of which one is the best bag, and the most recyclable one and the more practical one is the plastic bag. It's how do you say, lo menos malo, the less bad option.
Yeah, we're all of us in this industry are in that together. It's a challenge. Yeah, because our compost wants to eat everything.
Exactly. And these plastic bags, like the bags of the potatoes that we use here in Chile, everything, with the sun, start degrading, and it's like microplastics flying around in those bags. I don't like them.
No. Yeah, okay. So what is your biggest challenge? Is it the rain? Is it the wind? Is it neighbors? Sounds like you've listed a few already. What's your biggest challenge?
Yeah, at the beginning, the neighbors were our first challenge and the biggest one. But now that we have made a lot of upgrades in the plant, it's solved. I think it's solved. But today, the wet of the compost it's been a challenge, very difficult to figure out how to solve it. But we're on it with this screener. We add some frontal structure of our screening zone and a roof, and because as I tell you before, the rains enter from everywhere, like all the sides and from above. So you need to cover everything around to avoid the rain getting into the compost.
I saw you had covers that look just like house wrap, that Tyvek house wrap. Does that work?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does it work a little bit? It sounds like nothing's really working, but I've never seen anybody use those. And I thought, oh, of course, that's waterproof, but breathable. It's kind of genius.
Yeah. That was a very good idea, because if you see in the video, the piles are below a roof, but 1 year ago we didn't have that roof, so we have to deal with the rain in all situations, and it was a nightmare. But after that roof, it helped a lot. So now those Tyvek are helping. I think they are helping, because if instead of I have the roof, the water enters from the other side. So the Tyvek is very useful right now also.
Huh. I like it. I like it. That's pretty like good use of another industry's material that I've never seen before.
A low cost Gore-Tex.
Totally low cost. Plastic is a huge problem in the compost industry. The OSC Pack Pact is a collective action campaign that works to reduce single-use packaging in the natural products industry. We inspire innovators to minimize waste while raising consciousness about the environmental impact of our choices. We empower brands, packaging manufacturers, and consumers to take action. When you take the Pack Pact, you pledge to make progress around circular packaging. You'll also receive a discount code to shop select products from leading natural products brands that you love. Click the link in the show notes to join the Pack Pact. Compost use and selection decisions involve many factors and are not one size fits all. The U.S. Composting Council's Seal of Testing Assurance, STA, program helps you make the best decisions for your application. Learn about the 3 C's of the STA program: clarity, consistency, and confidence. Learn more and enroll at www.compostingcouncil.org/STA. And now back to the show. All right, this is a big question that I've asked a few composters, and I love the answers always. But if you had a blank check as big as you wanted to spend on your operation, how would you use it?
Ooh, with a big roof to cover all the operation area. It would be very nice. We are working now on to scale up this business to a more industrial, facility. It will have a biggest roof and better installations and infrastructure to process more complex materials and organic waste. Here in this region of Chile, the aquaculture is the biggest one, or the second biggest one in the world, related to the salmon production. So it has a lot of waste or organic waste.
Oh, that's great material for making compost. Salmon, byproduct, amazing.
But there is not enough literature that talks about this. So we will have to innovate in the ways that we are composting it and how to get a very good product.
Yeah, I'd be happy to chat with you after this because I compost a lot of fish. We're in a very, it's mostly tuna, but I bet it's very similar process.
Wow.
Yeah. So we get about 50 to 100 tons of tuna a week. And it would be, there's yes, tons. It comes in a giant truckload, and it would be very similar. And it's such a great material. We end up with a very rich, nutrient dense compost.
Yeah, and it's the meat of the fish, or it's like other results of the process?
It's everything left after humans eat it. So it's, there's some meat on it, but it's a lot of bones and skin and the eyeballs and things like that. But yeah, I think it would be pretty similar. I'll show you some pictures, but I'll share that with the listeners too. I bet that's interesting for everybody to hear about.
Okay. Yes, of course. Let's talk about it later.
Yeah. It's a great material, and you can get a good tipping fee for it. People pay you to bring it in because it's a hard thing the landfills don't want that material. It's really hard to handle.
Exactly.
So
the others.
Yeah. So it's a great income source as well as a great feedstock, but you have to really, really manage it well because it can get very stinky.
Exactly.
I want to talk a little bit more about your neighbors. So it sounds like what happens a lot of times is a site opens up, it's new managers, and there's a little bit of, odors happening, and then the neighbors really push against it and it ends up getting shut down. That happens in the US. But it sounds like you were able to educate your neighbors and change your processes and get everybody on board. Talk about that a little bit. That's awesome.
Yes, our process, we receive, it's not a big amount of organic waste mensually. It's like 20 tons per month, but we are like 10 meters from our first neighbor. So we're really, really close. And this is where we work is the more expensive place in this city, Puerto Varas, in the south of Chile.
Extra
so
challenge.
The neighbors are very, very, how to say it?
We get the picture. Yeah, they want
So
things a certain way. Yeah,
exactly. They don't want any others around, and nothing stinky next to them. So that's why I tell you that we, in the first part of our process, we put the compost, the first mix, on this like stalls. You said it was called
a stall. Yeah, like a horse stall.
So we put the mix in there, the food waste, the food scraps, and all the carbonated material, and then it passed like the first month in that part of the process, and then we moved them to the piles, to the concrete piles that you see in the video, and that allowed us to manage the others in a better way. I think we giving that first month in that infrastructure allow us to avoid getting it's stinky.
The odors.
Too stinky.
and the neighbors, did you communicate with the neighbors about what you were doing, and were they allowed to like come see what you're doing?
Yes. One time, one neighbor was complaining, and that was because we made a big mistake. We received some salmons. It was just one time, and we didn't mix them well with the carbonated material, and it started getting very, very stinky. So when we moved with the loader, when we moved the mix, it released a lot of odor, and the wind just that day was bad luck for us. The wind was to these homes that were to the east of our city. So it was a mix of things that make the neighbors smell that odor. And one neighbor was complaining about it, but we managed it, inviting him to our plant, and so he can see by himself that there was no odors regularly, and that was very nice. That's the only occasion that we have to affront a kind of situation like that.
That's great. That's really great. You're doing a great job managing then.
Yeah. You have to have the neighbors on your side. You're living in a community, and everyone have to be respectful, and that's a priority for us. We are doing a business that is very loyal, but you have to do things right.
Yeah.
I suppose. So,
is there anything else you want our listeners to know about? I feel like I want to ask one more thing. Was it difficult to get permitted in Chile? Like, how was that process of being able to set up? It's very challenging in the U.S., depending on what state you live in. But how is it there?
Yeah, the permission, all the permissions in Chile are very bureaucratic, and for compost plants are the same regulation. It's the same regulation for compost plants and for landfills. It's like composting is a new topic here in our country. So we and other companies along the country have made all this way with the government. And in our case, from the first moment, we took people from the government to our yard to see what we were doing in this small scale. And we asked them if they will allow us in the future to scale this up so we can participate in this public found contest. So from the beginning, we incorporate the authorities in our process, and they seeing in a smaller scale what we wanted to do. So it was a very was a very good communication between us and the authorities, and they allow us very easy to build our plant that we have now. That is an urban plant. Here in Chile, Chile is a very long country, so the transportation costs are very, very high. So we are trying to make these small plants as a solution for the logistic that will a lot of cities will have to confront in the future, because there is a law that will obligate people to separate their organic food waste, and there are no compost facilities near to big cities. So these small plants can help a lot, avoiding these transportation costs that are very high here in Chile.
So are you thinking, it sounded like you were thinking of scaling up and having a bigger facility. Is there other thoughts of having multiple facilities that are smaller? It sounds like I just heard you say that as well.
Exactly. We will have the big one, but my other dream here is to multiplicate these kinds of plants that we have here in Puerto Vara. It's like the surface that we use today is 400 square meters. It's very, very small surface. And we process 20 tons of organic waste. And it's been very challenging, but here with Vincent, in the head of everything, we have figured out how to manage it.
That's wonderful. Vincent, you sound like you're worth your weight in gold. You're very valued.
Thank you.
Excellent. So is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know?
To the listeners, we are in Instagram, Regenera Organico, and you can follow us, and you can send us every question that you have, everything you want. We are open to help other people that is interested, that have maybe the same problems with the weather or something that we had in the past and that, or we have now, but we are solving. So we are always open to collaborate with anyone that is working for a better future for us and for our future generations.
That's wonderful. I have one follow-up question too. When does that ban on food scraps going to the landfill start?
This law, it's supposed to be starting in 2 more years.
2 more years. Okay. This is happening. It's so great. This is happening across the world.
Yes, it's the half of the waste, the whole waste that a house generates.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's encouraging me. I'm really excited about this trend.
And in the US, you don't have that kind of law.
It's state by state. So some states have it. Our state has it, but it's not enforced. Massachusetts has it. It is enforced. Vermont has it. It is enforced, and it's really popular. California's ahead of us. But the whole middle of the country, and not so much. We still have a lot in the southern parts where we're really far away from a whole country that separates food scraps out. But we'll get there. I'm going to push it as fast as we can.
We have to help the municipalities of the states, of the authorities, because they don't know about this. They are about composting everything. In their heads, it's the same as a landfill, and they have to know that it's not the same as a landfill. It's a more beautiful process, and you can avoid odors, not totally, but in part, and things can be made in a better way that they know.
Yeah, so much better. Well, I invite you both to my farm in Rhode Island. I know it's very far from you, but I'd love to have you see this. And someday I would love to come visit what you guys are doing and see the innovations happening. And it's I love this compost world connecting. It's the best.
Yes, now we have to go to the United States to see my sister.
Yes.
So if I am close to you in that trip, I will get into your farm for sure.
Yeah, I'm very far from her, actually. I'm gonna.
Yeah, but
I'll tell.
If I am there already, it's one more flight.
Yeah, true.
Couple of hours.
Yes, definitely. That was amazing. I loved. I visited San Francisco for just 1 week. Went to a party and I met Andreas' sister, and we were just having small talk. She talked about being in architecture, and I said, we bonded over being in industries that aren't typically women run. And she said, compost, my brother's in compost. And so I love how small the world is and how connected we all are. So
amazing.
So
you're very welcome as well here in Chile to our plant, to our beautiful city, Puerto Varas, full of volcanoes and beautiful landscapes.
Sounds amazing. I plan to visit someday soon.
Yeah, of course. here waiting for you.
Thanks for being on the show, and I bet you'll get a lot of follow-up questions. So thanks for being open to that as well.
No, thank you. Thank you for inviting us. We're very proud of your call. So thank you very much, and keep fighting against the normal way of or managing food scraps and organic waste.
We'll just show it how it can be done in a better way.
Exactly, that's it.
Definitely visit www.regeneraorganico.cl to find out more about Andreas and Vincent's operation, Regenera Organico. We also have some photos and links in the show notes. If you have some composters you would like to hear on this podcast, feel free to contact me through email at info@earthcarefarm.com or through Instagram at earthcarefarm_RI. I have endless gratitude for no-till growers who produce this show and allow me to live out my dreams talking to composters. I also want to thank all of our sponsors, and especially you, compost-loving listeners.